How's it going, everybody? Doing a video games ramble here today. I actually tried to film this with a drink review a couple of days ago, but things got messed up, so I scrapped that one. I'm back again. I'm going to be tapping on some games as well. Got a PlayStation game, PS2 game, Xbox, and PS5. Maybe I'll do I'll take a game from every PlayStation and tap on them. See which one sounds the best. I feel like this would be cheating for the PS5 because this is it's not a normal PlayStation 5 case. But yeah. They showed I downloaded the demo for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I have not played it yet. But I guess PlayStation Showcase did like a 20-25 minute video just on Final Fantasy VII. Looks amazing. Like, I'm super excited to play this game. I love the first part, the remake, and now this one. It just looks like there's a ton to do. It looks great. I love the environments. Like I said, I never played the original that came out on PlayStation. Now this is a true remake, so tons of stuff's different, but story stuff and whatnot. I never played the first one. I only played a little bit of it. The original, I should say, not the first one. But that was years after it had come out. So I'm pumped about that. I'll probably check out the demo at some point as well. I just wanted to get it downloaded. I think it was like 50 gigs. I think they're going to add like another part to the demo too. But I mean, the game comes out in, it's on the 7th. 3 weeks, I think the 29th, a little over 3 weeks. So speaking of Final Fantasy, here's the ones that started it all. These would have originally been on the NES. The first one would have come over here. The second one did not back then. These are more like remasters. I mean, I guess they're almost kind of like remakes too, because it looks more like 16-bit, and they added in CG and stuff, cutscenes and whatnot. It's a great series. I was actually looking on Steam. I hadn't been on Steam in a bit. It was like the Steam store, I should say. I had Final Fantasy 13 was on sale for like 5 and change. I liked 13. Some people I know hated it, but a couple of things I want to ramble about here, though. I'm pretty sure I didn't. I think I was mentioning this in the other vid that I ended up scrapping, but I might have said it elsewhere. Cat's flopped over there. You can't see her. Don't bite. I was considering getting either Japanese PS2 because I've talked about the survival horror games nowadays are like, even case in point, like I brought this one specifically for that. This one I got for $50 new, and I should have bought the second one as well. They had all three of them new. I think for each of them were $50. On Amazon, I would have gotten this, I want to say, fall of 2020. $50 new. Still a good deal because it's brand new, and the Fatal Frames had not. I feel like if they were selling, this is on Amazon, so they were selling $50 a piece on Amazon. I doubt they were going for much more on eBay. And now this one alone sells for like anywhere between like 180 and like 110 used. Second and first are even worse. And I think they're almost on the cheaper scale. The Silent Hills are all over 100 now, which to me is crazy. Clock Tower 3, I saw in the game store I was in when I got Nightfire. It's like $120. I paid like $6 for that game in 2009 at GameStop. Now, granted, GameStop doesn't have PS2 games. Well, you can find some on their website, but they don't have any in the store anymore. if you look at that $6 from '09 to, we'll just say now, I don't know when it hit that price. It could hit that price 2 years ago. And we'll say 23. Push it back a couple of months. You're looking at 14 years for that game to gain well over $100 in value. Is at the end of the day, it's gaining less than what, $10 a year. But still, for it to take that kind of jump, and like I said, it could have hit that price 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It's just crazy how, like, even the Fatal Frames on the Xbox, or you can get them for like 60 to 80, I think, so they're cheaper. Same thing with Silent Hill 4. I got Silent Hill 4 on the Xbox for, I want to say it was a little under 40. It might have been like 35, 36. That's like probably $120 game on the PS2. Why are the PS2 ones? I can understand 3 because 3 was exclusive at the time. I know they re-released the HD or whatever, the remaster, whatever the hell they did for the PS3 and 360. And that was exclusive. I remember I bought it because I'm like, I had to get a PS2. I'm like, I want to play Silent Hill 2 at 3. And it's exclusive. It's only $40 for that game new. And it had the soundtrack disc in there as well. And I'm not even getting into the Kuwans or the Haunting Ground, Rule of Rose. I mean, Rule of Rose, I think used is like $300 something. Haunting Ground's extremely expensive. I think it was Kuwan. It used to be fairly cheap back in like 2009, 2010, and then Siren's one where I had it a couple of years ago, and I think I paid 30 something. That's more expensive now. But while that game's pretty cool, I wasn't getting into it. So I got rid of it. I did play some of the other one too. That was a Blood Curse, was it called, or some shit? It was episodic on PS3. I didn't play the full thing though. They must still have that on the PlayStation Store. I may consider getting that one, because that one I was actually enjoying. X-Files Resistor Serve. I got this off of Glide. This website Glide used to sell games. They still sell phones and shit, I think. They used to sell video games at really good prices. And they constantly give you credits. I got Fatal Frame on the Xbox. This would have probably been... have to have been after '09. Maybe it was 2010 or 2011. They gave me like a $15 credit. I don't even know why. Ended up getting Fatal Frame on the Xbox. Good copy. I think I got it for like a couple of bucks. Like, it was selling for either 20 or under. You know, that game's up to probably $80, $90, 70, whatever. But X-Files Resistor Serve, I got off of there for maybe 10 to 15 bucks. And that game is probably, let me check. I don't know if it's pushing 100. Really cool game though, X-Files. Pretty much what X-Files kind of is. Anyway, but it fits perfectly to survival horror X-Files, and it was a pretty cool game. I did not complete it, but it was cool. And I'm trying to think of when it took place. I don't know if it was after the show. It would have come out, I think, after the show, but I think they were placing it in between seasons or some shit. And it had the cast back. Let's see, I'm going to say at least 60 bucks. Here's one, $75, $100, $90 with $6 shipping. There's one for 60, 85. I don't know where the survival horror turn came from. They were always a little more expensive, especially the earlier stuff, the PlayStation stuff, and stuff like that. Like the Clock Towers and Deception, but Deception's not really survival horror. It's like a trap-based game, but the Resident Evil's on there, Silent Hill on the original PlayStation, Dino Crisis, shit like that. And then it was just like, all of a sudden, because PS2 stuff was not overly pricey even 10 years ago, and now it's through the roof. I don't know where that came from, or if that's just the video game, retro game stores just manipulating the prices. I don't know. But they typically will follow eBay. So if somebody started selling it for more expensive on eBay and people just start buying it, and then the rest of the sellers follow suit, which I don't blame anybody for doing that, but I personally am not spending $130 on a fucking game. Even if I had the money to do it, I'm not like, fuck that. When I spend more than 10, I'm like, what am I doing? That's just how I am, I guess. Maybe like, you know what, I would consider maybe Fatal Frame or Fatal Frame 2 on the Xbox for like $60 to $80. I would consider it. Doesn't mean I do it. I'm going to look up another game here. On the PS2. I had gotten this probably even like 2015 or 16. Okay, this game's still fairly cheap. It's actually a pretty cool game. Early title. I don't know if it was a launch title or if it came. It probably came. It was in 01. Oh no, PlayStation came out. PlayStation 2 came out in 2000. Sorry, I'm thinking the Xbox came out in 01. So early on in PS2 life cycle called Extermination, which was like involved monster type things and shit, which is pretty cool. And I got it for like under 10, and it's still selling from like 15 to 20. So that's a game that has not hit the value. Even something like Cold Fear and Ghost Hunter, which I came across both of those. Let's look. I did a video on it. I'm sure I have the garage sale pickup on here from 2020. That would have been summer of 2020. I'm pretty sure, right? Yeah. Let's see what Cold Fear is selling for. And these were good copies. I think I have it somewhere. I forget what I sold Cold Fear for. PS2 Cold Fear. $70. $70. It is not selling for that much. I have that written down somewhere. I want to say I sold it for maybe 35 to 40. Now, Ghost Hunter, I think I sold for 60 at that time. Let's see. Oh, I spelled it wrong. It's not autocorrecting. I'm not a good typer on the phones. Let's see. I still need to get into what I wanted to ramble about 2 seconds ago. In case, you know what, this one actually hasn't gained a lot of value, so I probably sold it for maybe, it's selling for, 55 to 65, so I think I want to sell you sold it for high 50s or 60. Cold Fear, though, has gained value from when I sold for it. I did not sell that game for 70, maybe 50, but I don't think it was even that. I want to say it was like 35 to 45. I have that written down somewhere, though. You're not getting survival horror games for cheap for the PS2, outside of Extermination, which is more of an action horror game, but Xbox is a little better. You can get Silent Hill 2 for a lot cheaper, I believe, on the Xbox. I'm not going to look that up, as opposed to the PS2. It's just crazy, but leading into, I was looking at PS2 and PS1 because Japanese systems, because I'd have to learn some Japanese. Like, I could probably get away with playing some of the games, but I'd have to have a kind of walkthrough going along. But the Fatal Frames, I've seen lots on eBay of all three for under $100. So you're looking at one in the US. Now, I don't know PAL. I don't know how it sells in the PAL regions. But North American, 3 games you can get for the price of 1. Now, I'm not saying I do that, but that's what I'm talking, like, it's crazy. There's another game, Michigan, which was made by, I forget his name. He did, Deadly Premonition games. He does a lot of the weird shit. I forget his name, but he also did, what was it called, like D4 or something? Deadly Dreams Dive, I forget what it was called. I played some of it on the PS. I guess it would have been the Xbox One, actually. He's been around for a bit, but I want to say that came out here. Let me see, but that was expensive. But then I was on the Retro Games website on eBay, retrogamesjapan.com, because that's where I get my Super Famicom stuff from, because it's cheap. A lot of them are cheaper than the SNES versions, and they're completely playable. I should just fully learn to read it. And you can go nuts and get those RPGs and shit for like Final Fantasy games for like $7. Let's look up Michigan. Michigan football. I'm pretty sure it came out here, but I'm not sure. Maybe it only came out PAL. All right, here's one from Japan, $25, $40. Oh, that's coming from Japan too, so I don't know if it actually came over here then. Oh no, here it is. Michigan Report from Hell had a different name, $280. Like, It's nuts. But then I was looking at the PlayStation. I was like, oh, those PS1s are about $60, $70. Japanese PS1s. And then I'm seeing Clock Tower, $20. Clock Tower 2, I should say, $20. Same thing with the original Clock Tower, although it's a little bit pricier. The Super Nintendo, yeah, I don't think it ever came here. I think people translated it and then kind of put it out, but I don't think it ever came. Maybe it did, but that was a Super Nintendo game. $20. You're gonna be paying $200 something, maybe more for U.S. version. At that point, I could buy the system, buy the game for still half the price of just getting the game here, and like learn how to read it as best I can. You know, like it's nuts. So it's something I want to think about. I don't know if I'm going to do it for sure, but. And I was looking up like Silent Hill and the Resident Evils that came out on PlayStation 1. They said with the puzzles a little bit of it can be tough, but you just get to walk through and you'll be fine. Or if you played the games and remember how they go. The voice acting apparently in those versions is in English, but the subtitles are in Japanese. So I'm like, well, shit. Let's see how much the first Silent Hill is going for. On the good old PlayStation, I've talked about my Silent Hill story of how I acquired the first Silent Hill. Not that it's much of a story, but I will mention it again. Silent Hill, let's see how much it's going for here. $400 complete. 200. Okay, so you're getting a lot less here. 225 still is nuts. All right, so you can get under for 200 here. A little under 110 for the disc. So these people are all over the place on this one. I sold Silent Hill and Silent Hill 2 in 2006 because I was like, oh, Elder Scrolls was coming out. Oblivion, I was going to want to resist getting the Xbox 360, and I'm like, I can't because it would have come out October 05. I barely resisted, right? I'm like, I do a lot better resisting getting them now. And I was like, I sold both of them for, I think they sold for 90 combined. I ended up making like $75. One of those sells for double, almost triple that now. All right, let's see how much it's Japan. Let's say it could be expensive. Huh? No, $50, $35, $40. Now you got to get it from Japan, so it's going to take a while to get here unless you can find a U.S. seller. There are U.S. sellers that will sell those games I get from those people, but they don't have. You know, it could be harder to get some of these games. So you want to wait a bit. Oh, there's one. Doesn't say from Japan, $35. Like, kidding me? It's crazy. I still have to get was it Mask of the Lunar Eclipse? Made in a Black Border was the one that originally came out on Wii U, and I had a cool game. I might have talked about it. I did a gameplay, I think, on my other channel a while back. This had to have been maybe 2015 or some shit, maybe even before. And now it's out in the con. They released it elsewhere as well, so if I wanted to pick it up again, I could. But Mask of the Lunar Eclipse was a Wii exclusive over in Japan, and they never put it out here. And now it's out here. They released it finally on the new system, so that one I might pick up. The funny point-and-click games, there's stuff like Still Life on the Xbox, which is inexpensive. Curse the Eye of Isis is. And I had that game. I got it on disc for like $3. It was disc only. I was trying to find the X-Files game, actually. My friend was with me. I remember this. We were in the GameStop in Merrick. This would have been 09, I think. And they had a giant kind of bin. Not really a bin, but, you know, they had to be 300 to 400 PS2 disc onlys in there. And they're like, yeah, we have it. And they're like, it's in there. I was like, holy shit. We searched for like a half an hour. I'm like, I can't look through all these. It might have been, it could have been 500 games. My friend came across Manhunt, and I was like, I'll take that then. He's like, hey, what about Manhunt's awesome? I was like, you know what, I'll do it. I was like, $3. Manhunt's actually kind of pricey too. But not, that's affordable. I'm going to have to pick that up again because Manhunt's awesome. Manhunt 2, I think, actually has more value. I played some of that one on the Wii. Never completed it. Because that was on the Wii, the PS2, and the PSP, I think. But even like the Dark Pictures games and stuff, they're kind of point-and-click horror games. Well, they are definitely horror games, but that point-and-click, not fully. You're doing more stuff, but and you're not like finding things. You know, I got to put this here and solve this. But they're in the kind of that same kind of feel. I would have thought a new one would be coming out for Dark Pictures. I mean, whenever you play those games, I think The Devil in Me, is that what that one was called? Was the last one in season 1, and then when you can find it, and they usually show it at the end of the game too. They'll give you a trailer for the one coming out next. But you can also find one of the pictures, albeit, and it was like in space. I was like, this could be cool. Speaking of space survival horror, the Alien Isolation game is really good. I didn't complete it. I was playing it on Game Pass a while back. It was intense, and it was creepy. The aliens stalking you around the place. You gotta hide and shit. Perfect kind of atmosphere and gameplay for an Alien game, in my opinion. I'm gonna have to pick that up again because it was fun. I said I played it on Game Pass, so I should pick it up. But I love survival horror games. You can find cheap ones. My Silent Hill story was I was at this person's house, and it was 2005. And we go in their basement. She has a top-loading Nintendo, and I was like, oh shit! I wanted to play Maniac Mansion. I had it, but I didn't have the system. I was like, can I borrow this? She's like, yeah. I gave it back. But then all of a sudden, I'm like, Silent Hill for the PlayStation. She's like, I don't even know where that came from, or something. I'm like, this is awesome. She's like, you can have it if you want. I was like, really? That was awesome because I'd never played it, and then I'd gotten a PlayStation. This was fall of 05. I had none of the consoles at the time. This was like a month before the Xbox 360 would come out, but I didn't get that immediately anyway. But I didn't have an Xbox. I had sold my original Xbox that I got in 02. I sold that in like April of 05 to get a GameCube because the credit was enough to get a GameCube. They were selling GameCubes for $100 and you're getting 2 free games with it. And then I ended up getting rid of that. The Xbox was the only consistent in that generation. I would be swapping out PS2s and GameCubes like constantly through selling them to people or just trading them in. Usually trade value was enough to where you can just get the other system, especially the GameCube. But then I only had a PlayStation. I don't know where it came from, but and then I played Silent Hill for a bit, and then I ended up getting I played it. I think I'm pretty sure I beat it. And then I was like, I think I had like one other game for it, but I was like, I need another system, and I got the GameCube in like December of 05 to finally play Resident Evil 4. And then I think I had gotten a PS2 as well because I had a nice PS2 collection going into 06 until the 360 came out. So I might have moved that cube again, or I just had it because I remember I got that one used for $30. No, because I think there was a Ring game on the Dreamcast. I think that's pretty expensive. There's stuff on the Wii that is expensive. There was a cool, real quickly, on the 3DS. I had it when I had the 3DS. It was like the haunted camera. It was kind of I don't know if it was a spin-off of Fatal Frame or it was just similar gameplay, but you had to use the DS like this and stuff. It was pretty cool. That's the camera. But the Wii had like a Jew on the Grudge game. It might have been a Haunted House Simulator. And there was one or two other ones, I think, that are pretty freaking pricey now. I think these games are like not good. But once again, expensive. But there was a cool one that I need to pick up. And I've talked about it. And I had it for a bit back in 2010. And it was called, let me see how much it is. This is one that shouldn't be more than $30. And back then it was cheaper. It was called Cursed Mountain on the Wii. Cool game. Like I said, I didn't beat it, but I played a lot of it, and it was fun. The motion controls actually worked well. Cursed Mountain on the Wii. Is it under 30? Oh, look at this. No manual. But it has the case. A little over $20. The Cursed Mountain limited edition sealed. There's one for $40. with everything. 22 with manual, 22 in works, 25 complete. I might have to pick that up, actually, because that was a cool fucking game. Surprisingly not overly expensive. So you can find, I don't know whether this is turning into survival horror, as always, but you can find cheap survival horror. Like I said, the Condemned games, 360. The second one did not come out on, the first one didn't come out on PS3. The first one was exclusive to was on Steam as well. That's the thing, you can find a lot of survival, cool horror stuff on that. I've forgotten some myself on on Steam. But if you're looking for disc copies and stuff, you can find cheap stuff like Condemned is cheap. And, even this Bloodshot is, but Bloodshot is not backwards compatible for some reason. But the first one is on the Xbox One. I assume the Series X as well. You know, even a lot of the stuff like was it like Don't Knock Twice and Song of Horror, which I haven't opened yet. Blair Witch. Not the one. There was some cool Blair Witch games that I had. When I still have it, actually, I probably showed it in Survival Horror Collection video. It's called Blair Witch Volume 1, Rust and Par, and there was 3 volumes. Creepy game. I used to play it on the PC. These are only on the PC. You're like I think the character you use actually came from another game too, and it was in the same kind of vein, paranormal type stuff. And you go to Burkittsville and you see the house, and there's a lot of creepy parts. I remember like at the end you're getting chased by like a fog kind of thing. It's like a running around figuring out where to go type thing, but it had some creepy shit in it. I remember you're like in the diner and all of a sudden like a flash happens and there's like the witches sitting behind you and stuff like that. I never played the other 2. I still have that first one though. But you can find cheap. When I say cheap, you don't even say 50 and under, we'll say. Until you start to get into the thing where you're like, oh shit, here we go. What do I gotta spend? You can probably still find Silent Hill 4. I don't feel like looking at it, but on the Xbox for under 50. I mean, you might be able to find Sired on the PS2 for under 50. Clock Tower 3 used to be one of those cheaper survival. Yeah, you get a game, cool game. It's another running and hiding game. You have like holy water type stuff to distract the enemies. Most of the time you're running, and the enemy, the one enemy. This game had like for its time gory cutscenes when you see the killers, like how they kill their victims and shit. And then the one guy's like, Alyssa. But yeah, I mean, you get Curse Mountain on the Wii for clearly under 30. What else is cheap? I mean, like I said, some of the newer stuff. I'm not going to even talk about Steam or even stuff you can download. I'm talking if you want to get like a disc copy of something. They did put a lot of them out on the Xbox One and the PS4. You could get a ton of it. Even the the PS5. I think Xbox Series X has them too. You can get these kind of indie kind of type games. Or like I said, like the Tormented Souls is one I see. There was another one that was similar to that. Oh, In Sound Mind, I think it was called. A couple of these games I was looking at. There's another cool one. Somebody was telling me about it, I believe, on Instagram. It plays like in a kind of an old school horror one, and I don't think that was In Sound Mind or Tormented Souls. Maybe it was Tormented Souls. It could have been a third one. And some of these games are hit and miss if you look at the reviews from the users and the critics. Because if you're making a survival horror game in the old school style, you're going to get some people that are not going to like it, especially people who did not play them back then. The tank controls can be frustrating as hell. I'll turn this off in a minute or two, but always love survival horror. That's why I love that Silent Hill. I don't know, it creeped me out, but like I said, Dead Spaces are also cheap. But like I said, I was creeped out. I mean, I didn't see a lot of people ragging on the creepiness of Silent Hill Short Message. A lot of them just didn't like there wasn't much to do, and they didn't like the way they handled the material story. which would be hard to do much in 2.5 hours. I don't know, free game, I liked it. I forgot about the Silent Hill F. That looked interesting. I remember there was a trailer for it a while back. Obviously, I have high hopes. I'm excited for the Silent Hill 2 remake. I hope, as a Bloober team, I hope they don't screw it up. If they do, they do. What are you going to do? I do have 2 and 3, the remaster, or the HD, whatever, for the Xbox One, so I would assume if that remake does well and sells well, they might do like a remake for 3. They should have taken notes from Capcom if it ends up being bad. Take notes from Capcom, because Capcom's done some, and the Resident Evils, all 3, in my opinion, are good remakes. 3 is the weakest of the 3 of them, by far. And you know what, I can even count the original. The original was an awesome remake of the PlayStation game on the GameCube. You know, I want to say the Outbreak games on the PS2 aren't overly expensive. Code Veronica X is not expensive either, I do not think. As well, and the GameCube one is, but the Dreamcast one probably isn't. And I'm pretty sure that it's probably one of the cheaper ones. That's the last one I'm going to look up on the PS2. Resident Evil games, the PS1 games still hold value, but not a shit ton though. Not compared to fucking some of the $300 games, right? But Code Veronica X was fairly cheap, but I haven't looked in a while. I'm surprised that one did not get the remake treatment yet. Yeah, $20, $25. That used to be dirt cheap, but still, for the way the games are going these days. Oh, there's one, $12. No demo disc, like who cares? I think it was a demo for Devil May Cry. Now, let me look up Outbreak. There was also Dead Aim, the first person one. I think that was a light gun shooter. Let's see, Outbreak File 2. $52. Anywhere from 35 to 50. So that's not it's not overly expensive, I should say. Let's see what the first one is. These were, I remember playing one of them, and you could play it solo, but it was like kind of meant to be played with other people. Brand new, $70 the first one. $60 new. Are there any used copies? No, $20 pre-owned, complete for the original. It's not bad, actually. I'm tempted. And there's also, I need to pick those up. I had the Wii shooters, the light gun shooters, Resident Evil. The second one I think was called Dark Side Chronicles. That one's a little more expensive, but not overly. They also made a Dead Space Extraction shooter for the Wii, which is cool. Umbrella Chronicles, the first one was called. They go through certain games. Actually, you can get some of those on the Wii as well. I think they did the classics or the whatever updated with the motion controls or whatever. I think for Resident Evil and Resident Evil 0 and 4 got it too. I had 4 and it controlled very well. It's funny how many, and even those remakes. Well, and 0 wasn't a remake, but those ended up everywhere now. Resident Evil 4 has been everywhere. There's a friggin' VR version. They got the remake. They had it on the friggin' Xbox One, the PS4, the Wii. It was on the GameCube. It was on the PS2. That's not expensive either on the PS2. The Resident Evils on the GameCube have never actually been overly expensive. They've always been $15 to $25. I don't know if they're ever now, but I can't see them be that much more expensive. Especially for GameCube games. GameCube is a... But anyway, that's just me rambling about video games. Mostly survival horror, but... thanks for checking us out, and have a good day.